What's going on there, guys? We back with another one, and we have to talk about it as this has gone viral. Cam Newton comes out, says he doesn't feel like Jalen Hurts is one of the top 10 QBs in the game. And so, when that said, they got everybody offering their think pieces. I know we can look at QBs like uh, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, just to name a few, but to say Jalen Hurts is anything other than top five right now, in my opinion, I think is out of bounds. But definitely outside the top 10 is insane. We talk about a guy who went to two Super Bowls in the last few years, outplayed Patrick Mahomes in both of them, in my opinion, and won the last one in dramatic fashion, dominating the Kansas City Chiefs. And him in the offensive line, you got teams wanting to get rid of the tush push because it's so unstoppable. And so I wanted to kind of highlight that before we get into what T.O. said. Now, this is what T.O. had to say in response. He said, you would be judging him if he had all of that and wasn't playing well. This is a Skip Bayless type of statement with dreads. Don't be mad at Jalen because he's making great decisions. Maybe had you made the decision to jump on that ball, and he talking about the one in the Super Bowl, just maybe y'all will say anything to go viral. This isn't it, Cam. And so a lot of people was looking at Cam kind of as the designated old disgruntled hater football player because you look at someone like Jalen Hurts, someone like Jaden Daniels, they are the new dual threat. Obviously you got Lamar Jackson who's at the top of that as well, but these guys are coming in making waves in the league. And what Cam should be doing, along with Michael Vick and some of the others, look at how they've helped change the position and look at these guys as pushing the game forward. But it looks like Cam's commentary is largely critical of young mobile African American quarterbacks right now. So let's check out uh, what Cam had to say in the past because these comments is coming back to haunt him based off what he's saying. And this is when he was on First Take earlier this year with Stephen A. Smith. Let's peep.
We've got a former league MVP right here on the set right now in Cam. I ask you, Cam, if you could give back that league MVP for a Super Bowl championship, would you do it?
Nope.
Oh,
Really?
really?
Wow.
Because you have to ask it through this lens. That was a very journalistic viewpoint or vantage point or response, Stephen A.
That would
I'll
be me.
ask you this question, and just to pose this thought: what's more important, impact or championships? You look at a guy like Allen Iverson, or you stood up on the table and blah 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 blah. Everybody's not going to be Michael Jordan. Everybody's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. Everybody's not going to be these individuals who have the luxury of saying, hey, I not only dominated this sport, but I also have championships to back it. Like, let me remind you, Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Respectfully, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. So, yes, when you look at those guys and you say, okay, what's more important? Would you have preferred to win a Super Bowl? I think that's the humble approach. But if we're being honest, the impact of you holding yourself accountable to say everybody has a responsibility to do. And you could say as an MVP award winner or an All-American, you've held yourself or you've held your end of the bargain down. And that's what it really comes down to for me. I know that's not the popular pick. I'm trying to be popularized. But my take is I'm taking individual success because I did my job. Football is not about one guy trying to do 11 jobs. Mm-hmm. It's 11 guys doing one job. And if everybody does their job best, famous words of our coach, Belichick, just do your job.
Do it.
Now, I understand you have individual goals as a player. You don't get or become a great player by not being a little bit selfish, right? You want to be that standout. I totally get that. To go on record and say you would rather have your individual MVP season than a title, you are immortalized in a different way after your playing career if you're able to win with a franchise. And if he would have won the Carolina Panthers their first championship, that's immortalization in another type of way. Those MVPs, it can you can look back at some of those years and say maybe somebody else should have got it, or it was very close and they just went with this player just because. When you win a championship, there's no disputing who was at the mountaintop that year, and if he was able to lead the Panthers, to a title, I think that would have been much stronger for his legacy than that individual MVP award that he won. Now, shout out to him for winning it, not taking nothing away from it, but it shows a clear mentality in the players. And you think about not just uh, Jalen Hurts, but Saquon Barkley as a running back was in the MVP conversation last year. Was gonna be one of those guys that could have broke was it Eric Dickerson's record, and he sat out that last week. Obviously, in your selfish brain, you want to go for that because people like, oh, that opportunity to come around again. Somebody that's had injuries like him, you're not certain that you're going to be healthy enough to ever get to that level again, or that you will even be in a position to have that same type of season ever again. So, in your selfish brain, you absolutely want the opportunity to go out there and break that record. But he did what was best for the team, and he's able to win a championship. Now, Saquon Barkley is going to be looked at as one of the greatest running backs to ever put that uniform on. And he did it in just one season, right? The Giants handed them a title, giving them Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley probably seen running lanes that he's never even imagined in his life. Haven't seen since college, or even maybe before that, with that great offensive line he got, the threat of Jalen Hurts, the threats, out there on the outside. So we saw him break big runs. It was almost every week you expected a big Saquon Barkley run. And, but I say all that to say the mentality of sacrificing for the betterment of the team. The individual award versus the ultimate reward. And the ultimate reward is that championship, and they got that, man. And so you don't hear Jalen Hurts talking like that. Jalen Hurts faced his own, all that adversity. He was, in the Heisman race and all that stuff, in college. But again, this guy is reinventing himself, having to leave Alabama, pick up the pieces, lift himself back up into draft contention. Now to be a Super Bowl quarterback, a few years down the line. What been the two Super Bowls, won one? At what point are we gonna stop doubting this man? I don't think we can continue to doubt Jalen Hurts and look for the flaws in him. We have to look at the positive at this point because it is equal. It is a proven formula to win the title. And when a quarterback gets there, we got to tilt our hats at some point, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, Pete.